I'd tell you the details, but it'd sound like I made them up.
Your problem is you spent your whole life thinking there are rules. There aren't.
Believing as I do, like the good Dr. King said, a man should be judged on the content of his character, not the color of his skin.
Yeah, he's dead. You're gonna need a different quote.
I just charged for parking.
You think they're going to ask questions when they come with their pitchforks and their torches?
It's just a flying saucer. We gotta go.
I've had a piece of pie like that since the Garden of Eden.
Simply deliver a message when the time comes.
Message? To who?
To the wicked.
We're very friendly people.
No, that's not it. Pretty unfriendly, actually.
Hello there, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Very Friendly People, the Fargo Character Analysis Podcast. I am, as always, your humble host, Thomas Potts, and as always, I am joined by...
Jack Breedon. There we go. Got the timing done. Got it
brilliant.
Correct. Episode 3, baby.
This is the one. Let's say, was it third time's the charm?
Third time's the charm. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah. May as well quit while we're ahead. Good night, everybody.
Right. Thanks, everyone. Peace out. All right, turn the lights off. Get the cameras out of here. Go on.
You doing all right today, Jack?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, pretty good. I'm excited for today.
You are?
As I feel like it's only episode 3, but I feel like we've been building to this episode for a
Very
long
much
time.
so.
A long time coming.
Very much so, because I mean, like, even though Martin Freeman was kind of the, Lester was sort of the main character, the main sort of, I don't know, semi-villainous protagonist. This is kind of the star of season 1. This is the one that this is the guy who everyone talks about, isn't it?
Yeah. It's everyone's favorite character of this season, possibly the show, and definitely of the actor, I think. Although a lot of great performances over so many years, but this is just outstanding in every way.
I absolutely agree. Yes, because today, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about Lorne Malvo.
Ooh, aka the Devil? ? Tune in to find out. Clickbait.
That is what we will be dissecting. Yes, very much so. Now, but before we dive into this character, a couple of little bits of news. Jack, do you want to take the first one?
Oh yes, this blew my mind when I saw this on Twitter today, and by your reaction a few minutes ago, it also blew your mind today.
It did very much.
As of recording, not as of publishing. This is probably going to come out a fair bit later. But as of today, which is the 20th of is it March?
It is, yes.
Oh God, what is time anymore? The 20th of March, 2021, for all you future peoples, is the birthday of another Fargo villain actor, my personal favorite, David Thewlis.
Happy birthday, David!
Happy birthday, David! You'll probably never listen to this, but just we need to shout it into the ether. Happy birthday,
absolutely.
David.
And just imagine VM Varga just like scranning birthday cake
on the toilet, of course.
Just on the toilet. Probably eats the candles as well. Sorry for that image, everybody. Yeah. And I've got another little piece of news. I don't know if you've heard this, Jack, but Fargo season 5 has been officially greenlit.
Really? Wow! Yes. Even I haven't heard of this. Oh wow!
Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's very exciting times, which means that this podcast will be able to go on for even longer.
Excellent. You'll be plagued by our voices forever.
Yes. So great news if you're enjoying the show so far. If you're not, then...
Why listen? That's
exactly.
I don't want to be that guy. But there's so much more out there.
Exactly. A lot more other Fargo podcasts. So if you don't even like Fargo, then frankly, we're fascinated as to how you made it this far.
Yes. It's commendable. It's commendable, to say the least.
Yes. Okay, so with those out of the way, shall we take a little dive into the world of Lorne Malvo?
Oh, if we must.
Okay. Last week we were talking about this character who has a sort of prototype version in the movie version, in that Lester is a reworking of Jerry. What's interesting about Malvo is that he doesn't really fit any of the archetypes from the Fargo movie, but seems to almost, well, in many ways, he's a reworking of Anton Chigurh from another Coen Brothers movie, which
Exactly
is
my thought. Exactly my thought.
No Country for Old Men. So it almost seems to be as if the events that are playing out are basically the movie, but then this alien element from another movie comes in and just makes everything just a little bit off kilter.
Yeah, it's a definite sign that the show Fargo is just such a massive playground for the entire sort of mythology of Coen brother movies. So many sort of bits of nuance and character motifs and iconography are kind of woven into it throughout the entire show. And seemingly, you know, Fargo is definitely one of the more comedic. I wouldn't say light-hearted. Well,
it's black comedy,
it's
but
black comedy, yeah.
But with it's dark and light.
Yes,
there's so much like positivity in it as well, but just a lot of darkness too. So
yeah, and compare that to just the bleak western of No Country for Old Men.
It's a horror movie.
Yes,
that movie's a horror movie.
He is the Terminator. He is Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees. He walks down the hallway with his iconic weapon and just.
And iconic haircut.
Yeah, and iconic. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. His mask. His face.
His face is his mask.
That's exactly what. Yeah. His face is essentially his mask. It's just such a Michael Myers kind of. It looks human, but it's that kind of uncanny valley of where, you know, even his smile is just not quite right, and it's just deadpan expression. Kind of, you're not quite sure if he's human or not. And while Lorne Malvo certainly, you know, has a silver tongue aspect to him, there's a lot of things where you kind of go, yeah, there's something off about this.
Yeah, definitely.
Man. Something not true in almost every scene he's in, even when he's, you know, being himself, not trying to pretend to be another person. There's always an air of mystique and facade and illusion in particular sticks in my mind.
That's really interesting, because he puts on many disguises throughout the series, whereas, you know, the difference between him and Chigurh, like all the way through, is exactly the same. He's just dead-eyed, doesn't really care about blending in, whereas Malvo is a little bit more surreptitious.
Yes, more conniving. There's a lot more sneaking to his strategy than just, let me just open the door, shotgun, done.
Yes.
There's a lot of planning in place, a lot of malicious sort of problem solving that he has to do.
But also a bit more flair as well. Like, you know, Chigurh is purely practical, whereas Malvo, he toys with people, but he also has like a sense of style.
Yes.
Which is interesting.
Yes.
In spite of that haircut, of course.
His later haircut's a lot better when he gets the salt and pepper, the grey.
Oh, yeah. That's when it's like, ooh,
this is an attractive man. I can.
Silver fox.
Exactly.
Because I mean, the first haircut, like I know that Malvo described, Billy Bob Thornton, the actor, described it as almost being like the Beatles haircut from when they first arrived in Liverpool, which is quite interesting. And also, when you first see him driving in the car, the way that it kind of frames his eyes, he said it reminded him of like the old westerns, of how they'd have like the black bars that kind of cut just to the eyes.
Well, yeah, he is the black hat wearing desperado or outlaw that comes in strolling into town and seemingly causes problems for the whole community.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is interesting. And going back to style, I was reading in the let me just grab it here, in the massive Fargo tome, the Bible by Noah Hawley. And him and the costume designer, who, let me get it up, Carol Case. We're talking about his costume, and kind of they wanted to avoid, because with characters like that, the seemingly embodiment of evil, of darkness, of deceit, the bad guy, you kind of expect him to come in all black. You know, like Western, you know, the Black Cat, Jack Palance and Shane, you know, sits at the bar and, you know, looks menacing, dresses in all black.
Absolutely.
And they kind of wanted to avoid that because he's not just wearing all black. There's a kind of strange style to him with his overcoat that's kind of a dull checkered. But of course, with the sort of the fur collar and lapels is this black fur that kind of makes him look, you know, like a wolf almost. Looks like that kind of I'm not quite sure what you call it, but you know, with wolves, their kind of neck and sort of back, sort of fat and loose skin that's covered in hair, kind of
not
looks...
pelt, is it?
Well, the whole thing's the pelt, but just the section of behind the head, where it kind of makes it look bigger from the front.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I don't know.
That kind of mane kind of thing.
Yeah,
you get it with large dogs. My sister's got a large dog who was a big fat head, which we all absolutely adore about him because we all have fat heads in our family. And so
big kind of, skulls. That's all it is.
Yeah. Big brains. That's what it is. Bless him. But that's what the costume kind of reminded me.
It's interesting that you're talking. Yeah, it's interesting that you're talking about these kind of animal aspects, and obviously this is something that we're aiming to do in every episode, talking about their kind of ranking in the animal kingdom. And I think Malvo is the reason we do this, because his whole philosophy is of the bestial nature of man, and people who are pretending otherwise, they're not being true to their real selves.
Yeah, we once were, you know, gorillas. It's multiple times he talks about, obviously the gorilla speech with Lester. He talks about the reason that the human eye can see many shades of green with Gus, and that is because of snakes in the grass, which of course he is as well. He is the snake in the grass. He is the gorilla, and then also the whole wolf motif with Gus as well, and the wolves whispering in the woods.
And going back to the idea of the snake, though, and the idea of like kind of him shedding his own skin and being kind of like, you know, being able to blend in and disguise himself.
Yeah.
And one thing, another interesting theory that I heard about is the idea that because obviously he collects all these tapes. These tapes are
I wanted to get into that because I that's kind of the one thing I'm not quite. I don't have quite a set theory on or quite a set idea set in stone about that. It's an interesting thing for that character to do.
Definitely. I've got a few ideas, some of which are mine and some of which I have actually nicked. One of the ones that I nicked was the idea of this is from I think it's from the podcast OK Then, which is another great Fargo podcast. If you're really into dissecting the show, check it out. And one of the hosts talked about how he seems to collect these tapes and listen to them, and he almost kind of like takes on the mannerisms of the people he's been listening to. So his role as the vicar is sort of his take on Lester's mannerisms, the kind of nervous Midwestern energy.
The mild-mannered, seemingly downtrodden, very softly spoken, nice guy.
Yes.
And of course, you know, being a priest, you instantly kind of give him a sense of trust and goodness, and also, you know, plays into the as we mentioned before, the whole devil aspect, which I'm sure we'll get into.
The devil quotes scripture.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Another theory. This is one of my own. Is I was kind of noting that Malvo he's a trickster archetype. In the book, I believe it says that if he was a religious man, he would worship Loki.
Yes, I've got a thought about Loki that I want to come back to. Yeah.
Okay. I was actually thinking of another trickster archetype, and that is the archetype of Anansi.
Ooh.
Yes, okay, the African spider trickster god, because Anansi, I believe, he collected all of the stories of mankind, and so I think that in the briefcase with those tapes, it's him collecting stories.
Oh, yeah. Oh God, yeah. Never connected the dots to that before.
Which is why I think when you hear Billy Bob Thornton's voice in season 3 as the narrator, I think that makes even more sense.
He's the one who's collecting all these true stories.
Yes,
Ah.
of animals and the men who try to fight against them.
Oh wow, that's slightly blown my mind.
Thank you very much. I would do a mic drop, but I don't want to damage it.
but the whole collecting the tapes is an interesting aspect of his character, almost like trophies. You get that a lot with real life and fictional sort of serial
we see that in season 4, don't we?
Yes, true.
With Nurse Mayflower.
Yeah. Collecting memorabilia or collecting severed heads or fingers or teeth or whatever it is. But also, again, going back to the animal aspect, kind of big game hunting. Instead of putting the deer head on the wall, it's the recordings of the phone calls in his briefcase.
Yes, at the moment where these people transgressed into the animal kingdom,
into his prey, into his target, and now they kind of live forever. Either mounted on the wall, their heads are physically there in the room, but with their voices, their stories speak with him forever, and he's going to carry them for all eternity. But sort of going back to the Loki. Thing, because I'm so interested in Norse mythology. During lockdown, currently, I'm slowly, steadily fighting the horde,
the forces of procrastination,
the tidal wave of procrastination to try and write.
Amen, brother.
Try and write a book, because it's lockdown. I've baked banana bread, so I might as well write a book. And that's set in Norse mythology, and so I'm trying to get all these characters, all these gods and jotuns and dragons and dwarves and elves kind of woven in. And Loki, if all you know about Loki is the MCU, you're missing out a lot of aspect of that character, and particularly his children. Which are, I think, incredibly fitting with Malvo, and I think you'll see the pattern here with his 3 children.
Okay.
The first being Hel or Hela in the MCU, his daughter, who is kind of the guardian of the dead, who in Helheim, all the spirits who don't ascend to Valhalla, these lost wandering souls, she who kind of keeps them down there. She's kind of the caretaker of these lost and wandering souls, these dishonorable men, women who've died without reaching the gates of Valhalla by dying gloriously. Sinful people who commit crimes are there wandering forever in the cold tundra. And then, of course, the second child, you have Jormungandr, or Jormungand, the World Serpent, or the Midgard Serpent, this giant Jotun serpent that is destined to be killed by and to kill Thor, who's the son of Odin. Snake theme going on. And so, of course, the last child of Loki is Fenrir, or Fenris, who is the large wolf Jotun child, who shall break his chains at the end of Ragnarok and consume Odin. And so it was just an interesting thing to have the wolf and the serpent and the stories of the dead all be associated with Loki, and then also all be associated with Malvo as well.
Yeah, wow.
It was just an interesting little sort of connective sort of tissue between the two characters that is fairly vague, but I thought added an air to his mystery, his mythology, if you will.
Definitely, yeah. Because I think the villains are like some of the most mythological characters within the show. Yeah. They have this kind of supernatural air about them.
Absolutely. Well, the fact that Malvo disappears in the first episode, he seemingly appears in Lester's house with the gun, knowing where the gun is, and then disappears like nothing, goes downstairs, and there's no way he could have escaped, but he's just gone.
Let's talk about him and Lester, because their relationship is kind of the crux of the whole story of season 1 to a certain degree.
It kicks off the whole story. Yeah, absolutely. It's the whole sort of framing device, the whole mystery that which all of the problems are rooted in.
Mhm.
Uh,
And like one thing to I feel like a lot of this is just kind of us comparing these characters to like other figures, but like it's clear, I think, that Noah Hawley, as well as being influenced by the Coen brothers, like there's a lot of references to the works of David Lynch as well within his works. And you know, Twin Peaks, like, you know, the idea of this small town where not much happens, but there's all these kind of secrets going on,
and kooky characters,
kooky characters.
Works, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it made me think of Bob from Twin Peaks. And this figure who is sort of like, rather than a man, he is the evil that men do. And that made me kind of think, if you take Malvo out of the equation, and if Malvo is literally just the voice inside Lester's head that tells him to like kill his wife, like, so, you know, really, you know, if Malvo is this metaphor, and Lester is literally just a man who one day just reached breaking point, and Malvo is almost a kind of, you know, not absolutely concretely, because obviously we see Malvo interact with other people, but this idea of him being this kind of almost Tyler Durden-ish type figure, of this embodiment of all of Lester's repressed aggression.
And he's also kind of what Lester wishes he was, and then eventually becomes.
And tries to become, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think maybe when you see Malvo again in his second disguise, like you're saying about how he was pretending to be kind of this Lester-esque character with the priest, I think later on, perhaps he's now being the new Lester. You know, he's got the hair gel, new haircut, new wife. He's suddenly more doing, more charismatic. He kind of has the life he's always wanted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, do you think it's almost as if like Lester looks over and he sees that, yeah, Malvo's kind of where he is, but still maybe one step ahead?
Yes, yeah, probably, yeah, because with Lester, there's always going to be that seed of want, that hole within himself, that thing that's missing, that he always wants more. There's something else that he just needs to be complete, and that is Malvo.
Oh, quick little trivia drop, actually. The guy, when Malvo is pretending to be the dentist, and he's been trying to be friends with this one guy whose brother, I think, is in, is he under house arrest or in witness protection, I think?
Yeah, witness, yeah.
And he's trying to get to that guy's brother. The guy who he's being chummy with is played by the actor Stephen Root, who is also in No Country for Old Men, and is shot by Anton Chigurh.
Yep, shot and left to bleed out and die in his own office.
So it's interesting that he's been killed by both of these guys.
True. And he's also in a bunch of other Coens. He's in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou as the blind radio.
That's really funny, because he was also in Get Out as a blind man, and I thought, is he actually blind?
Because I remember,
or is he just really good at playing blind people?
I know. I remember first seeing him in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And then watching Get Out. This was a while ago, and me thinking, oh, so he's a blind actor. Okay, he's just a really good blind actor. And then cut to No Country for Old Men, being like, hold on a minute. How is he seeing right now? This shouldn't be how it is. Hold on. But yeah, I love
What a fraud.
You're a fraud. How dare you act in a piece of fiction? I love Stephen Root. He's just so good in everything he's in.
Absolutely. And of course, it's also cool that Billy Bob Thornton has actually done work with the Coen brothers as well.
Absolutely.
Have you seen The Man Who Wasn't There?
I think that's the only one that I need to see.
Oh, yeah. It might be my favorite one as well.
Yeah, because I know all about the alien bit. I've seen, and I'd be like, oh wow, that's quite a profound moment. I should probably see what happened all before.
Because I mean, in an interview, I remember Billy Bob Thornton said that his character in that was a guy called Ed Crane, who's just a barber who, you know, ends up getting involved in a lot of crime-related stuff because, hey, it's a Coen Brothers movie. He said that like Malvo could almost be what Ed Crane would eventually become, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, okay. In what aspect? In what way?
Well, I almost don't want to say because you haven't seen.
Fair. Okay.
But I will say one quick thing, which kind of makes me think of a link between the two characters, and it's at the end of the film. Obviously, you've mentioned that you know about the UFO.
Yes.
And there's a bit where Ed Crane looks at the UFO and he says that it's kind of a summation of his entire life, like everything was leading up to this. And it made me think of the moment where Gus eventually tracks down Malvo, and Malvo's just looking at the wolf. And to me, I think that's Malvo looking at this thing that is like, yeah, that is my life. That is the embodiment of everything that my life has been leading to. This kind of dog eat dog, kill or be killed.
Yep. And and in a way, that sort of slow corruption of Gus at the end, I think kind of reinforces the idea that Malvo wins in the end, despite him dying much like a dog, wounded, limping, and then put down by a healthier, younger predator. He just kind of proves his theory on life, that we are all animals deep down. It is dog eat dog, and I am the dog to be eaten.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, because obviously there's that bit where like he gets shot and then he kind of springs back and he seems to almost be snarling, and then he kind of is this kind of chuckle, this wheezy chuckle.
Yeah, he just smiles with blood pouring out of his mouth.
Yeah, like red teeth. Like his teeth are just bright red at this point.
Yeah,
like,
as if he's just lifted up from consuming a carcass of something on the African plain. He's just face deep in a water buffalo or something, and looks up and sees the man with the gun. Yeah. Oh, what a character!
He's so good.
Sorry. No, you go.
I just kind of want to dive into these other kind of little moments that the character has, like the ones where he's just kind of messing with people.
Yes, yeah. My favorite one is the kids and him talking about I think it was a hammering.
Oh, that bit. Oh, I think meant the one where he's talking to the guy and getting him to convince to urinate in the gas tank of his boss's car.
No, yeah, that's also a great moment. But again, always corrupting others or seeding doubt into people's seemingly bang average lives.
And I don't know whether to save this for the episode where we do talk about the absolute real life Superman that is Lou Solverson. Lou is such a badass. But the scene between him and Lou is probably might be my favorite scene in season 1.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Should we talk about it here or should we wait, do you think?
Well, I think we could talk about it here with Malvo's other aspect, the more supernatural sort of what do you call it? Supernatural element to the character of is he the devil? Question mark.
I mean, I was almost going to say while you were talking about like all the sort of Norse gods, could Lou almost be the sort of Odin type figure?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I don't really have any basis for it outside of they're both old, but
Yeah, but also Lou's daughter is Molly, and Odin's son is Balder and Thor. Both of which either get killed by Loki or a child of Loki.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and of course Odin, is god of knowledge. He sacrificed an eye, and he hung himself from the tree of Yggdrasil for 7 days and 7 nights to gain knowledge. And Lou is nothing but knowledgeable.
Yes, I think the only other character I can think of who sees Malvo for who truly is Gus's Jewish neighbor.
Yeah, I almost forgotten about because he's only in it for about 2 scenes, isn't he?
Yeah,
Gus.
I mean, he is great as well. He's a character who doesn't get talked about enough.
True. Oh yeah, we can have an episode about him.
We could, yes. I don't actually know his name as well. I can look it up, and it'll be yes. Totally.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it up right now.
Okay, I'm so ashamed at my lack of knowledge in this because he's a great character.
What's his name?
Because I think he refers to him as like a Dybbuk, which is like a Jewish sort of demon, basically.
Yeah. Oh, what's his name? Why can't I find his name? Oh yes, Ari Ziskind, an Orthodox Jew.
Ari Ziskind, okay.
Yeah. Oh yes, yeah, the Hebrew word for demon. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ari also says that Malvo's black eyes spell trouble.
Yes.
So again, the mystical hint of.
I was just gonna say, there's a bit where Malvo, who's usually able to kind of mask himself in charm, and it's clear that it's not going to work with this guy. And there's a bit where he says, "Oh, is you're the house with the little Jew bus outside?" And that's when he says, "And there it is."
Yeah.
And it's like this kind of, this at the end of the day, this guy's just a dick.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah.
He's able to hide it well, but he's not a nice man. As charming and as slick as he seems, he's not a good guy.
Yeah.
And I think Lou's able to catch that as well, where he's talking about his experiences in season 2 with Sioux Falls, and I feel that it's almost with the promise of kind of a gory story, he's almost able to bait Malvo to exposing his because there's a bit where
he's almost like I've bodies. He's like you see his eyes. He's desperate to know.
And that's the bit where Lou's like, "I've got you. I know exactly what you are. I've seen your kind before.
And I've seen it with the Gerhards and with Hansi, and I've seen aliens, man. I've seen weirder.
Exactly.
I've seen weirder, and I'm not going to tell you nothing. Nothing."
Lou flipping Silverson, man.
Yeah, that's going to be a good episode. A very good episode to come. So stay tuned.
We should probably also mention the Supermarket King, which is basically like a bit of a B plot in the series, but it's clear that that's like Malvo's actual job, because he is this kind of gun for hire.
He's a contract killer. Yeah,
he's a contract killer, but he's also hired to like get rid of this guy's blackmailer.
Yeah,
isn't he?
Yeah.
And it's clear that like all the stuff with Lester and all the messing with people, that's just him just doing what he loves doing. That's his hobby, whereas this is his actual job. But that's the B plot.
And even the B plot emphasizes the religious aspect, with the Supermarket King with the
probably even stronger. To a certain degree.
Yeah. Is it Saint Lawrence?
Well, patron saint of hard asses, he says.
Yes, yeah. Who was burning on a pyre and told the Romans to flip him over because he's done on this side.
And it's kind of tragic because you've got this incredibly Catholic figure who, doesn't recognize the devil when the devil's driving him home.
Yes, yeah.
And obviously Malvo is basically inflicting the plagues of Egypt onto
the reign of frogs and all this, the death of his family, and the fact that Malvo does the most evil thing that an evil character could ever do: kills a dog. Straight up.
Actually kills a dog.
Up, kills King the dog.
Screenwriting 101 is save the dog. So, I don't know what book Malvo was reading.
Well, the villainous one, which is kill the dog. There's save the cat, and then there's kill the dog.
Kill the
dog. Oh. And again, because dogs always have that kind of that knowledge of evil. They always bark at something, be it the devil, be it something in the shadows, home invaders, a monster, or the Terminator. There's always dogs barking. They can always sense something that's off.
Yes.
And maybe being, a dog, perhaps he sees it as a competition.
Like an alpha male is just came in.
Being the wolf versus the domestic dog, he kind of sticks it to him and goes, I'm better than you because I'm freer. I'm not domesticated. My teeth are sharper. That kind of small victory for the character.
Definitely.
And again, plays into being the devil.
Yes,
the corruption of all these characters, be it the A plot or the B plot or small bit characters, and him outright saying, with Lou at the end,
hasn't been an apple pie like that since the Garden of Eden.
It's like, oh, okay. But what's your take on that? Is he the devil? Is he a metaphor for the devil? Does he wish he was the devil?
To me, he's both, but he's also neither, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it's that. Yeah, okay. It does and it doesn't.
Real cop-out answer, but I think with this show where there's so many different interpretations, and I don't want to limit myself to just one. I want to have them all. I'm greedy for it.
Fair. And with a character like Malvo, you know, I'll allow being greedy. I'll allow being greedy. I was just going to mention that being the devil, it's that question of whether or not the evil comes from him, or whether or not that sin originates from man themselves. You know, with Lester, would he have ended up as a murderer without Malvo? I think probably not. But there is that seed within him, and I think Malvo doesn't give him the evil. I think Malvo almost provides an echo chamber for that seed, and he sort of shuts off everything. He limits all other aspects of the world, all other viewpoints and ideologies, and just goes, this is the world, this is what it is. And as he's talking, he's slowly germinating and growing this seed of evil in this vacuum. And then he walks away, and the seed is fully formed, or is slowly growing through these people, through this town.
I suppose if you want to take a more sort of humanist version of this character, and you think about like less about him in reaction to other people and more about just who is he by himself, you think?
Yeah. How did he get here? What is his past? How does a man become this?
To me, I think the closest that I believe, at least, that he kind of exposes himself, like is when he's talking to the guy who sells him the police radio, and the guy's like, "Oh, I've got like these zombie kit survival packs," and he says like, you know, the world's a mess. I don't see what difference a bunch of zombies would do. And I think that actually kind of speaks volumes about just the way he looks at the world, that the world is just a broken, miserable place. And so if you want to survive, you have to be dog eat dog. So I don't know what kind of awful thing must have happened to him. You know, he's the Joker, basically.
Yeah, I think he already thinks the apocalypse has happened and has been happening, and we've just lived through it. All civilization is the apocalypse of the animal world. Man-made, you know, concrete monoliths sort of growing over, you know, cutting down the forests and domesticating the wild. And interesting enough, in that scene, that guy's van in the background is a documentary on wolves playing. There's a little bit of set dressing to sort of reinforce that idea in the wolf motif with Malvo.
Very good.
Yes. Malvo, he kills a lot of people.
An awful lot of people.
And causes a lot of death. I've got the full list here.
Okay.
And it's not every episode, but it's bloody well near enough.
Yes. Bloody being the operative word.
Yeah. You know, he starts off in the first episode with Sam Hess, who serves as the sort of kickstart for the story and the kind of the arc that Lester goes through. He then kills off Vern, who's the sheriff, who's kind of in the episode you kind of think is going to be one of the main characters, which definitely helps sort of supplant Malvo as the villain. You kind of go, oh right, who's going to solve this problem now? Oh god, he could just kill.
He's set
anyone.
up as the Marge, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, and the paint cans and his pregnant wife.
Yes.
Yeah, that'll be a good episode talking about Vern. That'll be a good one. And then, of course, he kills King the dog, and he kills Moses Tripoli and the whole Fargo syndicate, who may return in a future episode, in a future season.
Who knows?
Yes, I can say yes.
Undoubtedly,
I could safely say yes. If you've seen the whole show, you know exactly. Well, you may not. It's just,
you might not. It's quite obscure, but if you've been paying attention,
yes, go back to season 2 is all I'll say. Or go to the episode whenever we record that in the distant future.
Don't bother with the show itself. Just listen to our show.
Yeah, in fact, don't bother with any show. Just listen to our soothing voices talking about things you have no knowledge or interest in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. On my list here, the characters he kills, there's, of course, he kills Mr. Numbers. So with the, he kills off the main character. He starts off the main plot. He kills off one half of the duo, the dynamic duo characters. He then goes and kills 22 members of the crime syndicate, including the 3 named ones, including the guy with the Australian accent, which is not the best accent.
I think he's actually from. I think he's from New Zealand.
Oh, is it New Zealand? Okay, if he's from New
yeah.
Zealand, yes, it definitely sounds more Kiwi than it does. Okay, yeah, I'll give him that. I'll give him that then, because as Australian goes, it wasn't very Australian.
He's a fun character.
He is a good character.
Bye.
He then kills that police officer in a scene that directly kind of recreates the Shigura strangling in No Country for Old Men. Yes, and then the next one, he kills, of course, all the people in the elevator, and he kills Lester's wife, Linda. And then... of course, yes. Then he actually does outright kill the second dynamic duo of the.
He kills Key and Peele.
Key and Peele, Webb Pepper and Bill Budge. That's his name, I think. So you pronounce it.
Yeah, Pepper and Budge.
Yeah. So in terms of story and how you'd create character, your main characters, you've got your little duos, your little sort of subplot secondary characters. He just outright kills so many.
No one's safe.
Yeah, no one is safe. And then, of course, he causes the death of the frozen man in the first episode. And, of course, Glenn Howerton's tanned buffoon.
Dom Chump.
Yeah, which is...
That one might have bothered me the most. That one...
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. That broke my heart. It's harrowing to watch.
It is.
On my rewatch recently, I was so shocked on that. Because oh my God, that's brutal.
Yeah, because it's not quick, and it's not like it's so calculated, and it's drawn out for so long, and it's the fear. Like he draws out the fear so much, and it's horrendous.
Almost, I don't know. My mind just made the connection here. Of course, he's sort of fixed him to this post. He's almost crucified him, but instead with nails, it's duct tape. And instead of the Romans coming to poke him with a spear, it's the Fargo cops that come and blast him with shotguns like 20 times. Again, just harping on about the devil thing because we have to. There's so much, and there's probably so much we've missed. Just talking about it in this episode. So if there is stuff we've missed, I'd love to hear people their own theories. I think because of course there's probably people out there who just think he's a bog standard human man. Nothing weird about him.
Yeah, which almost makes it weirder.
Exactly. It makes it probably scarier. I'd argue.
Yep.
The fact that a human being is capable of such things. Yeah. And also another little bit of trivia I wrote down here, which I struck as odd. He's technically the first main character to die.
Oh yeah.
Because obviously Vern dies, but he's only in one episode. He can't really be counted as a main character.
He's a red herring.
He's a red herring, exactly. And all other characters are either sort of secondary, either come in halfway through the show or only in it slightly. But he's in it through the whole hog. He's the first main character to die.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Which is a strange fact I found.
First character that we see, and first character to die.
Yeah, true. Actually, yeah, of course. And then, of course, after that, it's Lester who gets it in the ice. Yeah.
And then no one after that. So it's just those two, thankfully.
Yes, thankfully, yes, because all other main characters are pretty good, pretty good human beings overall.
They're likable,
Yeah, good old Molly and Gus and Lou.
But we'll get to them in future episodes.
In the future, yes.
So,
I don't know if you have any other sort of things you want to discuss about the character before we move on to our animal talk.
Don't believe so. No.
Yeah. The only other thing I have is that he
ready.
has a sociology degree. He says. He just mentioned it. He mentions he has a degree in sociology. Yeah. And I'm not quite sure whether that can be taken literally or if he's just, you know.
I suppose he's interested in just kind of like people.
Yeah,
I guess that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, his entire business, his entire character is centered around human beings. Without humans, he's nothing. I'd argue. So I think, I think that's how he gets away with what he does. He kind of knows he studied the human mind.
Human animal.
Yeah, the human animal. Exactly. He knows the strategies. He knows what works with people, what clicks, how to train them almost, how to make them sit and roll over. Yeah.
He's like what's the name of that dog and that serial killer who claimed his dog was telling him to kill people?
Oh, Son of Sam Berkowitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, who claimed that his pets told him to commit murders.
If he is the dog, if he's the bad dog,
could be. But also, fun fact of that, it was revealed later on that he was lying about this, about the dog's telling. He wanted it just to get the attention, because crazy Satanist killer dog tells man to commit murder in suburban town. Which I suppose is another good connection with Malvo.
Yeah.
You never know what's true and what isn't.
Yeah.
Whether
is this a true story?
Is this a true story? Exactly. Is his ideology man-made? Has he made it up, or is there a nugget of truth? Is there something weirder? Did a dog tell a man to kill a man?
Well, we'll find. Well, we might find out in this next section. Because it is that time again, Jack. It is time for No Saints in the Animal Kingdom. This is the part of the show where we rank the character that we've been talking about within the animal food chain, as it were.
Yes. I think this has all been leading up to this. He's the instigator of where we first developed this idea with animals and characters.
He gave us the title for the section.
Exactly. And I also think he may be the shortest discussion. Because okay.
I'm a bit of a hipster. I'm never one to go with the crowd. So I've stretched things a little bit, but I'm gonna make my argument. But you go ahead first.
Okay. Well, as I've already discussed, the Loki children of the serpent and the wolf, the animal. Mentality, the snake in the grass. So no doubt in my mind that he is Predator. He is a number one at the top of the food chain. He sees himself as necessary to keep the prey in line so they don't overpopulate the earth. So wolf would fit there, of course. The snake would fit up there, of course. But perhaps he may be. And what's flashed in my mind is his Peter and the Wolf intro. Is him talking about the blast of the hunter's shotguns represented by the drums. Perhaps on the food chain, he may be the only one who's not an animal.
Who is man?
He is perhaps man. Or if you want to go a little more metaphorical, a little more spiritual, a little more out there, perhaps he's the idea of predators. He's the mythology of animals, the religion that they have. I've just been rereading Watership Down, so perhaps that's why that's in my mind. The world of Thra and all this. But perhaps maybe he's the reason why birds, fly north, to migrate. Why animals just know how to do things, how they know what to eat, what to kill, how to do it.
He is Father Nature.
He is Father Nature, yes. He's the ugly truth of kill or be killed, dog eat dog. Every
His
animal
nature
has
is
its
the devil's
place.
church.
Yeah, and if you're not an animal, you know, if you slow down enough, you become the food for other animals. You're recyclable. You're cyclical. You're unimportant. Once you're gone, the next generation will come, and perhaps that's why he smiles at the end, because he'll never leave. His idea is within Gus now. He's to be consumed by Gus, and now Gus must go on and be consumed by another. Possibly.
That's deep, man.
But that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts. I got on
really good.
a little heavy, perhaps, but
Yeah.
you know, what do you expect with a dog killer?
Yeah.
He kills a dog.
He literally kills a dog.
Literally
as the thing.
stabs it. He doesn't even shoot it. He stabs a dog. Like, come on, man. Oh, but yes, that's my ideas on his place in the food chain in the kingdom.
Nice. Quite similar to the kind of human aspect. Mine was the role of the zookeeper.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And that the idea of him collecting these tapes is almost like him keeping, you know, their animal essences in cages.
Yeah, or almost documentary. He's, you know,
Yeah.
he's filmed. He's the David Attenborough.
He's the evil. He's the dark antimatter David Attenborough.
The apocalypse version of David Attenborough. Avid Dattenborough. Oh God. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, he's just observing these animals and how they play. And I suppose like a bad documentarian. I think you're saying that word correctly. He gets involved. Yeah. I don't want to say bad. Because I'm a fan of Werner Herzog, and he gets quite heavily involved in his subjects' lives. And I find that fascinating and actually quite thought-provoking and good, just for an entertainment and sort of education value. But but with him, he pries into where he shouldn't pry.
Definitely.
Yes.
And the other one is leading on from my last ranking for Lester, when I said that Lester was like a mouse who had worked out how to operate a mouse trap.
Yes.
And the kind of Tom and Jerry kind of thing. So naturally, if Lester is Jerry in more ways than one, and so Malvo would have to also be the tomcat. He's sleek. He's not someone that you can train. He's like, he's domesticated in that he's got a job, but he will wander off and just kind of kill things for his own amusement.
He has a boss, doesn't he, at the beginning, just like how Tom is an owner.
Yes.
And he's also grey. It's a stretch, but he's also grey and white, like his legs.
Yeah, exactly.
Haircut, I suppose. And he doesn't get Jerry in the end.
Exactly.
It's a constant cat and mouse chase.
Yeah,
and Jerry does...
the fight at the end with the bear trap. I mean, that is like a really grisly Tom and Jerry cartoon almost.
Yeah. Oh God, that scene where he has to snap the bone back in place.
Oh.
Again, another kind of Anton Chigurh moment, because doesn't he performs surgery on himself, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah. And one more thing, which doesn't really hold any water, but I think it's kind of cute. When people have watched Fargo and I've recommended it to them and they see Malvo, they say, "Tom, that's you."
Yeah, this is exactly my thought. Exactly my thought.
When I have a goatee, I do look remarkably like Billy Bob Thornton.
You do. If you put your fringe down so it's flat and straight, and have a goatee, and you could do his accent, you could do an impression better than I can.
Oh, thank you very much.
I don't know if you want to do it though. Oh, okay.
No, I will. Okay, right, Jack. What I want you to do is I'm gonna speak this, but I want you to just edit in Billy Bob Thornton talk.
Yeah, of course. This will be on the cutting room floor. Don't you worry. Wink,
okay, right.
Wink.
Yep.
Am I right, audience?
Okay. I mean, we've built up too much, so
Yes, we have. This will be disappointing now.
Never mind. I'll do it anyway. You spent your whole life thinking that there are rules. There aren't. Yep.
I'm awestruck. It is
man.
It genuinely is eerily good. It is so good.
Thank you. So, like I said, if Lester is Jerry, then Malvo is Tom in more ways than one.
Yeah. And of course, as I said in last episode, if Lester is the sheep in wolf's clothing, of course Malvo is the wolf in sheep's clothing. That's something I think everyone can agree on. He quite literally, wears a disguise. So nothing, groundbreaking there, but definitely something to mention, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, he plays the game of prey quite well. He knows their patterns. He knows how to blend in for that final strike.
That final strike. And I think that final strike is where we're going to leave this episode today.
Yes.
So, Jack, thank you so much for meeting up and chatting about this show that we love so much.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. And thank you, Billy Bob, for joining as well.
Oh,
my pleasure.
Yep, thank you.
That was less good because it's not a line from the show. Also, a shout out to George Colclough for our amazing theme tune. You can check him out on YouTube, check him out on SoundCloud. He's got amazing stuff.
Yep, absolutely groundbreaking. It's such a good theme. I'm so happy with how he captured the essence of the show. I'm giddy of how good it is.
Me too, man.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we shall catch you guys next time. Do we have like an official sign off? I forget.
I don't know. I say the "oh yeah, you betcha." I think I've said it twice now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it that with them. Okay. Right. Take care, guys.
Yep. Thank you very much for listening, and tune in next time for. Should we leave it a mystery? The character, or shall we say?
I mean, I think we said. I think we said last time. So
yeah.
As well.
Yeah. Do you reckon we should go with Molly next?
I think Molly is the logical next step. Yes.
Yep. Yes. A much light-hearted.
Yes,
character.
After all this darkness, it'd be nice to have just a positive role model.
I feel like there's going to be peaks and valleys within this show. Every episode's going to be, oh god, and oh yay, fist bump in the air, and then oh god. Although we had Lester and then Malvo, so who knows?
Yeah,
who knows? But yes, stay tuned. Next episode. Thank you very much for watching, listening. The other one is.
Ears, not eyes.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you. Oh yeah, you betcha. This show's wonderful music was composed and performed by George Matthew, who you can find on SoundCloud at GeorgieBoy-2. And the incredible artwork is done by artist Dan Rhys, who can be found on Instagram at rhyscery.illustrator. That's at RHYSCERI.illustrator on Instagram.